Sips. Good morning. Welcome to Elizabeth Sharon Bible Study. I am Debbie, and I haven't got all my lights turned on. Just a second. I don't know if that helps any. I adjust and readjust, and sometimes it's just going to be dark in whatever. I have an office that's just not real good at light, so I guess I'll be in the dark. So welcome again. This is March 12th, it's Saturday morning, and I hope that you all have got a great day planned. We do the 1 year Bible study every day. It's New Living Translation. We do it at 8:30 every morning, and we welcome you to join in. So get in there and like it. Good morning, Dee. Just like I can see your names if you've liked this and you put a message in the chat. I can see Rita and whoever else I've probably missed whenever I look down. But good morning, and so glad that you've joined me. And also, good morning, Ashton. I'm sure that you're watching me, and I bet my daughters are watching too, because they like to see their mom. Good morning, Alina. Okay, so I said to like this page, go onto YouTube and like it too, so we can, we can just get some people in there and get the word spread, so people can have a place to be fed. Send your prayer requests and your praise reports. We want to pray with you. And so I had looked at my devotion today, and oh man, it's so perfect for our reading. Hi, Sherry, Eileen. So my devotion today is talking about feeling frazzled. I'm guessing that maybe I'm not the only one that's ever felt frazzled in the past. But sometimes, Jesus, I feel frazzled, pulled this way and that way by people and circumstances around me. At such times, I need to stop and turn to you. But instead, I tend to drive myself to get more and more done. Even if I manage to calm my body, my mind continues to race. Have you done that? Boy, I have, anticipating future problems. We're gonna be reading about people that just probably felt that same way and searching for solutions all on their own because they are in control, right? They're trying to do it themselves. All right, so we are going to be doing Numbers 16:41 through 18:32. And it starts out by saying, but the very next morning, the whole community of Israel began muttering against Moses and Aaron, saying, you have killed the Lord's people. Oh, good morning, Tracy. See, I knew that I would have a daughter on here this morning. And I already said hi to Ashton, if you didn't notice that. So I need to go on, continue on, Debbie, here. The next morning, let's back up just a little bit to yesterday. So if you didn't read yesterday's, you see why the next morning is important. Yesterday in the reading, it talks about Korah and his rebellion, his grumbling, everything about Korah. And the Lord opened up a hole in the ground and swallowed. Look at that, swallowed everybody. These people, the Israelites, saw that. They saw what can happen whenever you're disagreeable, you disagree and complain against God. So now, you know what? We start grumbling again. We start murmuring. We start complaining. It's just like a brutal circle that just goes around and round and round, just like my daughter has talked about the circle of life. Well, here's a circle of complaining. You just can't get away from that. And so as we go on, Moses in 46, Moses said to Aaron, quick, take an incense burner and place burning coals on it on the altar and lay it on the incense. Carry it around out among the people to purify them. See, he didn't want the rest of them to go through that. But it says the plague of death had started and had already begun to strike down people. But Aaron burned the incense and purified the people. He stood between the dead and the living, and the plague stopped. However, this is a big deal. Almost 15,000 people died in this plague. So the wrath of God is unleashed among all of the people who persistently rebelled against their maker. So Aaron, the high priest, is a picture of Jesus. And he uses the censer of gold with incense burning and burning coals from the altar. And this is a picture of the cross. And runs right into the midst of them as death sweeps through. Aaron takes his stand between the living and the dead, and the plague stopped. See, Aaron was an intercessor. That's the ministry of Jesus, standing in the gap with prayers of the saints and the sacrifice of the cross. He stops death in its tracks. So this is kind of a nice little thing to remember. Be careful who you hang around. The sympathizers of them deserve judgment too. Be careful. Whoever you're around, the perception is you're just like them. And you may not, but it's time to turn around and walk away. So then, chapter 17, we get into grumbleism. The Lord said to Moses, tell the people of Israel to bring you 12 wooden staffs, one from each leader, and inscribe each leader's name on its staff. Inscribe Aaron's name on the staff of the tribe of Levi. Inscribe it. So it's show and tell morning. Okay. So here, about 4 years ago, see, I've got a staff. We went to Yellowstone and we picked this stick up to help walk as we go. See, you see all kinds of stuff on it. We got little medallions on it. But whenever I was reading this, that he said to inscribe Aaron's name on the staff, I thought, oh, that makes sense. If they would have tied a ribbon on it, there's 12 of them, that we would have got confused because they possibly didn't have 12 different colors. If they would have dipped it in paint, that would have been confusing. What if it got wet? Well, they probably didn't have 12 different colors of paint either way. But when they inscribed it on there, see, I don't think you can see this, but whenever we got back home, and I'm kind of artsy, Tracy can say, yes, Mom is artsy. I did a wood burning and wood burned a bear in there, and I burned a buffalo in there because that's things that we saw. Well, that's been 4 years ago, and see, I can rub all over it, and that's not going to come off. Everything that I inscribed in there, Yellowstone, I inscribed that in there, and I can rub on that all day long, and that's not going to come off. This is a dead stick, but it has memories in it, and I love that. Okay, so that's my point, and if that falls over and hits me on the head, somebody can call 911. All right, so as we go, this is a cool story. Ashton, you're just going to really like this because you pick up sticks too. So he said to place these staffs in the tabernacle in front of the ark of the containing the tablets of the covenant. Buds will sprout on the staff belonging to the man I choose. Then I will finally put an end to your murmuring and your complaining. But will it? See, they all went and got their staff. Obviously, it's probably like mine. It's dead, but it serves a purpose. He says, buds will sprout. Not only would this be an obvious miracle, but the blossoming of dead wood spoke of fruitfulness. This is miraculous fruitfulness present when godly authority and leadership is being practiced. Now then, 2 almond trees are needed to pollinate themselves. You can't just, this doesn't just happen, folks. This is why this is such a huge miracle. Have to have 2 almond trees to pollinate themselves, and it takes 5 to 12 years to start producing almonds. Okay, so let's move on. So Moses placed the staffs in the Lord's presence in the tabernacle of the covenant. When he went out to the tabernacle the next day, see, there's a lot of stuff that takes place the next day. He found that Aaron's staff, representing the tribe of Levi, had sprouted, had budded, had blossomed, and produced almonds. Listen to that. They laid their staffs down, and something that wasn't even rooted in the ground, hadn't even been watered, hadn't been fertilized. They probably didn't even fertilize, I don't know. Hadn't been cared for. Aaron's rod sprouted. Not only did Aaron's rod sprout, it budded. Not only did Aaron's rod bud, it yielded almonds. And not only did it yield almonds, they were ripe almonds. They could immediately eat them. But look at the degrees of how all of that happened. Sprouting, budding, blossoms, fruit from it. The nuts are calling it fruit, and they were ripe. Fruit from a godly leader can also come in various stages. So, if we look at that, a green sprout alone would have been a huge miracle. But as we go on here, where's my scripture? Oh no, Nancy, if I told you, you would have told me what it was. Let me look real quick. Well, I guess I'll come across it. So the murmurers and complainers are seldom satisfied with the resolution of one issue. See, they saw what took place the day before or the day before, whenever Korah and 250 people was sunk into a hole and was swallowed up alive. They saw almost 15,000 people die in the plague of death. And our complaints are still there. So you know what? It doesn't take them long to move on to, okay, well, yeah, I saw that happen, but what about this? What about that? Their thoughts were full of like yeast. They still had so much negativity, sin, and things being stirred around like the dough in a bowl that caused them to continue complaining. You hear them say that they'd complain if they were fed with a silver spoon, or that's somebody that can argue with a fence post. Whenever we talk about this situation, these people are stiff-necked, hard-hearted, set in their ways. God's going to give them an answer. Now, Ezekiel 36:30 says, and I will multiply the fruit of your trees and increase of your fields. I thought that was cool too. So another cool thing is this staff that produced the buds, the blossoms, and the fruit, excuse me, will be like a museum piece. It will be put into the ark. And oh, here it is, Acts 1:3. God gave them an Acts 1:3 moment. Of course, they hadn't read Acts because they're before Acts. But it talks about many infallible proofs to demonstrate his approval of Aaron's leadership. How big could it have gotten besides all of that to show that Aaron's the one, guys? Let's go with it. Quit griping and complaining. Don't you get tired of hearing people complain? It's so much easier to jump on that boat and ride that all day long through every storm there is, because you know what? We can all get together. What's the first thing we start talking about? We're talking about the gas price. We're talking about COVID. We're talking about, I bet the first thing you talk about isn't a blessing. I bet it's not something that was great that God did for you. If we just stop and think, what did God do for you today? You say, well, I just got up. I don't know. Well, let me tell you, you just got up. You didn't have to set your clock all night long so it could remind you to take a breath while you slept. You didn't have to have some way to figure out if your heart was going to beat all night long while you slept. See, you experienced miracles while you were sleeping. You got to recognize that. We got up. We're here to get today. If I would have be able to tell my mom and dad today that I'm on something called Facebook on my computer, that Dad would have said I didn't need it all, and that I'm speaking to people all across the United States and possibly in the world, then he would have said, that makes no sense. The almond tree is known as the harbinger of spring. Its Hebrew name means watchman. Each murmurer came back and picked up his dead stick, that staff that he brought. Don't you know that was dramatic? I would love to have been there. I can't wait. I want to, whenever I go to heaven, I want to talk to Moses and Aaron, and I want to get the inside scoop on this, because all I can do is just kind of throw my 2 cents in and think, wow, what a deal. We go into chapter 18, and this is talking about God's chosen people, the Levites, and how they're to serve, because as we see, Aaron is he's the guy that's going to be doing this, but the family is going to be part of it. See, we all have different gifts and different strengths, and God gives that to us. We're not all the same, and we shouldn't be the same. My family's certainly not all the same, but together we can do a lot of stuff. And that's like our friends. Together we can do more if we all go. And see my shirt, I have a new shirt, Therefore Go. We're going to be talking about Therefore Go here in a minute. All of us together are able to reach somebody. So I gotta move forward. I'm gonna pass on the rest of 18. You can read that today. Watchmen, yes, Eileen, we are watchmen. We're like that olive or that almond branch. Okay, so we're going to go down to Mark 16. Saturday evening, when the Sabbath ended, Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Salome, went out and purchased burial spices so they could anoint Jesus's body, because, you know, he's in the tomb. Now they got these spices. This is kind of like bringing flowers to put on the grave. I mean, it's an honorable thing to do. These spices weren't used for mummification. These spices was really to offset that odor of decomposition. So very early Sunday morning, just at sunrise, they went to the tomb. On their way, they were asking each other, who roll away that stone for us? Because we're just some women and we're not that strong. And that's a big, big stone. But when they arrived, the stone was rolled away. And when they entered into that tomb, Jesus wasn't there. There was a young man clothed in a white robe, and they were shocked. You see, other Gospels will say there was two. This one says there were one. Mark's just writing what he wanted to write, his version of what happened. The angel said, "Don't be alarmed. You're looking for Jesus of Nazareth, who was crucified. He isn't here. He's risen from the dead. Look at this, where they laid his body." See, resurrection isn't just living again. It's living again in a new body based on our old body, perfectly suited for life in eternity. Jesus was not the first one brought back from the dead, but he was the first one resurrected. Now go. Oh, look at my shirt. Therefore go. Now go and tell disciples, including Peter. Why did he say that? Well, remember, Peter was the one that doubted him, that denied him 3 times before the rooster crowed. And he wanted Peter to know that he was welcome. Peter, don't run off and hide. Don't go away again. I want you to come too. You will see him there, just as he told you before he died. The women fled the tomb, trembling and bewildered, and they said nothing to anyone because they were too frightened. See, that women, that wasn't the witnesses that you wanted. They generally didn't listen to the women, but women are the one that came. Let's go on down to verse 9. After Jesus rose from the dead early Sunday morning, the first person that saw him was Mary Magdalene, the woman who had cast out demons. That was intentional. She needed to see him. She went to the disciples who were grieving and weeping and told them what had just happened. But when she told them that Jesus was alive and she had seen him, they didn't believe her. Afterward, he appeared in a different form. We don't know what that looks like. To 2 of his followers who are walking to Jerusalem. They rushed back to tell the others, but no one believed him. See, all of these disciples were equal opportunity disbelievers. But what did we just read about the Israelites? They grumbled and complained. They should have believed everything that from this point forward for the rest of their life, because look what they saw. They saw Moses part the Red Sea. They saw the plagues. They saw God start it and stop it. They saw so many things go on, but they still grumbled and complained. Still later, he appeared to the 11 as they were eating together. He rebuked them of their stubborn and unbelief because they refused to believe those. What's your belief? Do you believe everything in this? We should, because it's true. It's alive. And he told them in verse 15, go into all of the world and preach the good news to everyone. I have a friend on a mission trip that's in somewhere right now, I think Los Angeles or somewhere, that is on a mission trip, and they've got a bunch of teens with them for spring break, but they're going out to serve and be witnesses. Go into all of the world. See, you can go next door. You don't have to jump on a plane and go across the ocean. You don't have to get in your car and drive 100 miles, 500 miles, whatever. You can go in your neighborhood. There's people there that are suffering that need you. When you go to church tomorrow, look around and just give somebody a smile, and maybe if you shake your hands or you fist bump or whatever, let them know that you're there. Let them see your body language. Let them make eye contact with them, so they will be able to receive what Jesus is going to give to them through you. You are the light. Verse 16, it says, anyone who believes and is baptized will be saved. But anyone who refuses to believe will be condemned. So condemnation rests on disbelief, not on baptism, because remember, the three on the cross, Jesus and the two thieves, one went with him to heaven, and he hadn't been baptized. He just, in the last minute on the cross, take me with you, and Jesus took him. Baptism, though, is obedience, and it's the picture of new life, not the means of securing it. So these miraculous signs will accompany those who believe. They will cast out demons in my name, and they will speak new languages. And on down to verse 19. When the Lord Jesus had finished talking to them, he was taken up to heaven and sat down in the place of honor at God's right hand. And the disciples went everywhere and preached. And the Lord worked through them, confirming what they had said by miraculous signs. So look at that. He went with them and confirmed what they said through many miraculous signs. Preaching came first, then signs. That's a pattern for ministry. Do you have to have a sign to believe? The Israelites saw all of these things, and they still grumbled and complained. And then here the disciples heard that Jesus had risen, but they hadn't seen. See, we tend to want to see with our physical eyes, but to believe is different. Okay, Psalms 55. I'm going to have to hurry. Listen to my prayer, O Lord, O God. Do not ignore my cry for help. Please listen and answer me, for I'm overwhelmed by my troubles. See, there's a lot of people that feel that way. And it is okay just to have that heartfelt prayer. I've had that. I've done that heartfelt prayer in the past. I have just pleaded and begged, just with tears staining my face and my clothes, thinking, God, please heal her. God, please heal them. And verse 4, it says, my heart pounds in my chest. The terror of death assaults me. See, that terror of death is dread. Fear and trembling overwhelm me, and I can't stop shaking. I think about the people in the war area right now, Ukraine and Russia. Both groups of people are overwhelmed and trembling. Verse 6, oh, that I had wings like a dove, then I would fly away and rest. See, it didn't say, oh, that I had wings like an eagle so I could soar and all that stuff. No, a dove, when fearful, flies away very swiftly and far and into solitary places where it hides and secures itself in secret and safe place. This represents David's disposition. He just wanted to go away. But go down to verse 16. But I will call on God, and the Lord will rescue me. If you're here right now listening to this, highlight verse 16. Morning, noon, and night, I cry out in distress, and the Lord hears my voice. But you know what? I would like to move that period down to, for verse 16, I will call on God, and the Lord will rescue me morning, noon, and night, period. I'd like to see that all together, because it doesn't matter. God doesn't sleep. I sleep, but he doesn't. He ransoms me and keeps me safe from the battle waged against me. God has ruled forever and will hear me and humble them. And then look at verse 22. Give your burdens to the Lord, and he will take care of you. See, we've been praying for Betty Patterson, and she's getting better every day. That's why you share your prayer request. Let us help in the intercessory part in praying, because if we all call on God, he hears all of us. Hears one, definitely one, but just think about that, what that sounds like whenever he hears all. He will not permit the godly to slip and fall, but you, oh God, will send the wicked down to the pit of destruction. Then Proverbs 11:7, when the wicked die, their hopes die with them. Because you can just hope and wish all your life that things will get better, but if that's all you do, you'll just die with all your hopes and wishes. They rely on their own feeble strength, because you know what? We can't do this on our own. That's why we read the Bible. That's why we pray. That's why we share our prayer requests and our praise reports. Excuse me. And so this is the day the Lord's made. Let's rejoice and be glad, and look for his miracles. Look for his blessings right now. In this hour, you could sit down and write down all kinds of miracles that he's already done for you. It doesn't have to be this great big staff that did or did not sprout almond blossoms and the fruit. See, mine is a dead stick. Mine is like the other guys. It's a dead stick. But you know what? It's a reminder of where I've been and how much fun I had. And so use your past and just let that be history and move forward, because today is your present and tomorrow is God's got it. You don't have to worry about it. So love you all. You have a great day. This is beautiful. You know what? Here's one thing. It's like 22 degrees in Blanchard this morning. Well, I remember some places I've been. If I was in Orlando right now, it'd be 77. If I was in Grand Cayman Islands right now, it'd be 82. Oh, that warms my heart right now, just thinking about those temperatures. So you all have a great weekend. Yes, Eileen is reminding everybody to set your clocks, change those. If you're in a time zone that changes clocks, well, don't forget. You don't want to be late or early, whichever it is, for church tomorrow. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.